Welcome everyone to this Soul Talk Global 911 Enneagram episode with British Robert Holden, who is a psychologist and a Hay House author, and I think one of the greatest Enneagram teachers of the world. He is also my mentor and friend, and I am very grateful and happy to be able to give you this conversation on how the Enneagram and the wisdom of the Enneagram might serve us in difficult times. So enjoy. So the plan is to go around the types from one and to have a look at how each type can lend us some aid in this time of our lives in the world.
Exactly. And I just think that the Enneagram has just been one of the greatest resources I've ever come across. It's helped me in so many ways already. Surely it's got some wisdom and inspiration for now too. So it feels really good to do this with you as well, Kissa. So
me too.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So we'll start with type 1. And type 1 is the reformer, the perfectionist, the idealist. Or anything else, Robert, you would want to?
No, that covers it. That's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the basic fear for type 1 is to be bad, unethical, evil, corruptive, defective. And the basic desire is to be good, to have integrity, to be balanced. And I think type 1 has an amazing wisdom for all of us right now, because in order to try to be good, we will use judgment. So we have installed this inner judging superego that will judge ourselves and the world. And we do see that probably a little more when we are challenged like we are right now, the judging, the shaming, things like that. And so I think the wisdom for type 1 for all of us is at least two things. So one of the things I've been thinking about is to trust our innate goodness. The innate goodness of humanity right now, which is a big one, to be able to trust that. How can we do that in the times that we are in right now? And to be willing to let go of judgment and resentment and see the world through eyes of love, and see the perfection that arises when we cease to try to perfect things, when we try to correct the world. When we stop that, there is this perfection of everything with all the craziness that arises.
That feels so good. One of the great questions of philosophy is humanity good?
Yeah.
And actually, is humanity good for the planet? These are very important questions. And my feeling is that humanity is good. The question is just how human are most of the humans on the planet?
Yeah.
It's like, how much in touch are we with our humanity?
Yes.
One of the great things at this time is watching how, for example, the kindness virus is spreading faster than the coronavirus, in terms of just acts of goodness.
Yes.
Coming around the planet right now, which is so amazing. And it is so heartening to see that actually, yes, the essence of humanity is good.
Yes.
As the mystic Julian of Norwich said, we are clothed in the goodness of God. Yeah. There is a goodness here, and we're calling on that goodness at this time, a goodness that we may forget about. Yeah. But here we are, and let's call upon that goodness now to create a new order.
Yeah.
Actually, a new order which includes this virus, because it's not going to go away. No. We're going to have to learn to live with it. So there's a new order now, and that makes lots of sense for sure. I also wondered if I could just share one thing with you as well here, because it was yesterday I was just having a little look through Instagram, and I came across this fabulous Instagram post that really made me laugh out loud, and then afterwards I realized it was written by my wife Holly. I didn't even know. But it's an Instagram meme which just says, "Good news for parents. Today is officially Lower Your Standards Day."
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Have to. Yeah.
I thought that's so good. And that's so good at point one, because right now we're all having to lower our standards if we've got children in the house.
Yes.
You know, I'm afraid there are fingerprints on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, there are crumbs on the floor, and, you know, we're probably not being the parent we most want to be most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit of forgiveness coming in here, and let's all lower our standards, but forgive ourselves more.
Yeah.
And see if we can get through this.
Yeah, and also let's not fall into the temptation to think that what's happening now is some kind of karma, some kind of punishment because we've been so bad.
Yeah.
Some people voice this, and of course it does have consequences what we do and how we treat the earth, and of course it does. But the thought of being bad and therefore we need to be punished, and this is some kind of punishment, let's not fall into that. Let's see ourselves and the world through eyes of love instead. It works much better. It's like punishing children or loving them. And beautiful. We're doing the same to ourselves all the time.
Okay, so I think it's such a great place to start at 1 on the Enneagram for this inquiry. And I just love what you've said, because I don't think there's actually a higher truth we could be talking about right now. You know, it's on some level we're claiming our goodness. And we're recognizing that, yeah, through this sense of innate goodness, we can make this right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have written down an invitation for type 1, and actually I'm so privileged to have a lot of very wise people around me. So with each of the types that I am talking about today, I asked them, what do you think about this invitation? How does it land with you? And so I asked my 2 very good type 1 girlfriends. And so together we came up with this one. Actually, we came up with 2, but this one. So, love or God, show me how to allow myself to see and accept unconditional love and perfection in me and in the world surrounding me. And the other one was, help me observe myself and others without judgment by focusing on love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And I think important to just tune into the fact that we really don't need to be at type 1 to lean into the wisdom of type 1, right? We all need this because we do it all the time. The ego is judging all the time. So all the types do it.
Yeah, thank you, Kissa. That's an important point to make, because we share the same philosophy, which is, of course, we can look at the Enneagram of types, but we can also look at the Enneagram of points. And in a sense, these 9 points represent 9 meditation seats where we can all sit and, you know, and take an inquiry like that one. Those 2 rather that you've just read out. I mean, who can't relate to those 2 inquiries? Who couldn't benefit from them? You know, we could all benefit from them. So, yeah, great start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And anything else you want to add to point 1?
No, I think that's really cool. I think it's a great place to start. You know, a really good place to start. Yeah. So if we look at point 2 or type 2, sometimes the type 2 is called the helper, the giver, the servant. And I like how you began with talking about basic fear and basic desire. So basic fear at 2, you know, essentially is a feeling that we're not loved. And the desire, of course, is to not feel that fear. So it's to be loved, of course. And I think one of the great meditations at point 2 right now is about spreading the love.
Yeah.
And I feel a great inquiry here right now is to think about, well, what is the medicine that the world most needs right now? I mean, really, what is that medicine? What is it we're all really in need of? And most importantly, what is the medicine I need right now? The chances are it's the same medicine. So the really important thing is, you know, I have to be willing to take this medicine too, you know, and really allow myself to feel loved at this time. And one of the great medicines I think that's apparent is our need for connectivity and for relationship. We are right now practicing social isolating or social distancing because, of course, we're trying to slow down the spread of the virus. So we're doing this in the short term, but of course, I think we all understand long term, this isn't going to work. And actually, it's detrimental to our physical, emotional, and mental health.
Yeah.
So the medicine we need right now, ultimately, perhaps is to isolate ourselves physically, but to make sure that spiritually and emotionally we are connecting with each other and connecting maybe more than we might have done ever before. And everybody's suddenly signed up to their Zoom accounts and their Skype accounts. And, you know, and it's amazing how many people are now having conversations. In fact, I was on a session literally earlier today with somebody. He's based in New York, but his mum and dad live in India, and they now Zoom every day, and they haven't done that before. So instinctively, we know it's important to connect, and that's part of the medicine for sure. One of the inquiries that I think is extra good here right now, and I think a really good one at point 2 is to name 5 people that are really important to you in your life. And the exercise here is not people that you're going to support. It's actually 5 people who are part of your life, your social network, but 5 people who really inspire you, 5 people who feed you, 5 people that nourish you. You might not give anything back to these people. They may not even be alive. I mean, this could be a saint. This could be Beethoven. Yeah, this could be well, we could go to an archangel, for example. But it's 5. It's like 5 figures, 5 people that you draw upon for inspiration and that really feed you at this time. Yeah. So just as an example, because who comes into mind for you if you were to like start the list? You know, who would you think of first and foremost that really feeds you, really nourishes and supports you?
Well, besides from my husband and very close friends, it would be, well, you are one of them, Robert. And yeah, my spiritual connection, I think, is nourishing me a lot at these times. Well, always, really.
Yes. Yeah. This is a fun exercise, you know, because this is very much just about who's there absolutely for you and you're drawing upon, you know, and as I say, you can take someone from history. It can be, you know, anywhere you like, but it's feeding you, it's supporting you. So for example, for me right now, I'm listening to a lot of Beethoven. I find his, you know, what he tapped into, this great power, this particularly Symphony Number 9, you know, where he's like, which he composed when he was deaf and ended on the great Ode to Joy. I mean, oh my goodness, you know, so Beethoven just goes on first thing when I'm sitting here at my desk. I can't help it. He's just part of my, you know, life support right now. So that's just be imaginative, play, be creative. But the key thing is here is receive from these key figures in your life.
I love that exercise. And especially at point 2 and as an 8, I know this very well. It's not what comes into mind first. it's what I would, the first thing I would do is think about people that I give to. So I love that exercise.
Great. Yeah, it's a good one. It's cool.
It is.
So should we go to 3?
Yeah.
Help me out here, Kissa. Just help me out. Inspire me with this one, please. I need this. This is for me.
Now you're making me really nervous. And so me having to talk about type 3 and you're the 3 and well, I'll do my best. And anyway, the invitation I sent out to 4 type 3 girlfriends who are very much into the Enneagram, and brilliant. One of them, Dorte, who you know, she corrected it a little bit, and I think we got it we nailed it, but you let me know. So yeah, the basic fear for type 3 is to be worthless, unworthy, and the desire, of course, is to feel valuable, worthwhile. And I think the 9118 that type 3 is really offering all of us right now is, at this time, a lot of us are not in our usual roles. We are asked to step out of our usual way of doing things, our usual way of looking at ourselves, our roles, the masks that we take on when we leave our house. And this gives us an opportunity, I think, to sink into or deepen into who am I when I am not trying to be anyone, when I'm not my usual roles, when I'm not my masks. Who am I really then, and how can I allow to be just who I am in this moment, and then in the next moment I am what I am at that moment. And as we started talking about around type 1 with the goodness, I think type 3 is pointing us towards maybe what's most important to learn right now, our humanness. So who are we really? What is our true identity? I think this crisis is really asking us to start to recognize and feel and know that we are divine beings, that we are love, that our true nature is love. And I think that's so beautiful.
It's so good to hear. It's landing with me. Thank you.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Please add something.
Well, it sounds so good. You know, I think that in a sense, what a crisis can do is invite us to be more truthful with ourselves, and with each other.
Yes.
And maybe to ask some questions like, you know, is my busyness really that important?
Let's not ask that question, Robert. Yes, you're right.
No, is what I'm busy about, is it really important? You know, and what now? You know, what it's the sort of like that question, which I think resonates at 8, by the way, as well. But it is like, look, what's real? Let's see if we can remember what's real again here.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and let's see if we can, and let's make sure we engage our hearts in that inquiry, for sure.
Yeah.
I think for myself, initially, I went into overdrive, and I was overdoing it, absolutely. And then it was actually somebody on my Success Intelligence Mastermind, who was sharing an inquiry that we were in, who she came up with this idea that her goal right now was to work less and love more. And I thought, oh my God, that was said for me. So that's become my mantra at the moment, is like work less and love more. You know, and make sure that my love and my work really are the same thing.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. Also think maybe point 3 can, at this point, I think a lot of people are asking themselves, what are my true values? And what are the values like that I lived by before Corona? And how can I create values that are led by my heart?
Beautiful. So, yeah, I think that feels so true. It's exactly what's happening. You know, it really is encouraging us just to be real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I just want to share the invitation.
Please.
And so it comes out like this. So, love, oh God, show me how to connect to my sense of worth and lovability by trusting my heart to guide my being.
That works for me. That really works. That's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That would be a great journaling exercise, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, type 4, I think most often called the individualist, and basic fear. Well, it's still with identity. It's the sense of the who am I, what's my significance, and other than this image of myself, what is my real substance? And of course, the concern is that actually I don't have much significance of my own. In some ways, there's a great truth in that.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's true that actually each of us on our own aren't that significant. We don't really exist without each other. So all of these fears are actually pointing in a strange way to a great truth. And normally we get a glimpse of that when we can hold the fear with this equanimity, which is so the virtue of 4. I think a great practice here for point 4 for all of us right now is emotional honesty, which invites spiritual clarity. Now, I guess what I mean by this is that this is a point in history. All of us can honestly say we're afraid. All of us can honestly say we're anxious. All of us can say that each in our own way we are grieving the loss of an old way of life, and we don't know how much of it we're going to get back. The old normal, though, has gone. It will be changed. We don't know how, but there's a grief in all of that. And I think one of the great strengths at 4 is to be emotionally honest, not to try to rework the feelings into something positive, not to reframe them, not to even heal them, but simply to meet them with respect and even to meet them with love. And what I've learned very much by sitting at point 4 on the Enneagram is that when I'm emotionally honest, I am clearer spiritually.
Yeah.
It's like the more honest I can be about how I'm feeling, the more open I am to spiritual guidance and spiritual wisdom. That was a great surprise to me. I didn't know that would be the case. I thought pretty much I had to put my emotions aside and receive spiritual wisdom. And honestly, that didn't work so well for me. And I began to see why, really, because I just saw that the amount of psychic energy it takes to suppress a feeling means we won't be receptive and available to what wants to be said. We're too busy. We're sweeping something under the carpet whilst trying to look up at the window for something good to come through, and we can't do it. So I think that what makes sense at 4, and perhaps it's the invitation, it's to deepen our spiritual practice at this time. And that all by itself is an inquiry. We would almost have to go to our heart, go to our soul and ask, well, what does that deepening mean? But I'll suggest it has something to do with some emotional honesty, and also an emotional honesty that then allows for this deeper landing of spiritual wisdom and spiritual truth. Emotions and viruses actually work in a somewhat similar sort of way. The human body is composed of more microbes than it is human cells. So we live with viruses in our body the whole time. And we can live with them if the environment within our biology is healthy. And predominantly that comes from good nutrition and a very good positive mental attitude. The emotions are somewhat the same. We live with fear our whole life. We talk about letting go of fear and releasing fears, but honestly, how many of us have ever been able to really do that? It's not so much that we let the fears go, it's more that we let go of our shame about the fears, or we let go of our judgment about the fears, or we even let go a little bit of our fear about the fears, but it's more that what we do is we cultivate a relationship to the emotions. And that's what makes this equanimity, that's the play of equanimity in our life. And so I think it's the same, say with the virus. We're all going to have to live with COVID-19. It's in the world now. So this isn't about getting rid of it. This is making sure that our immune system can accommodate it. And because we're all going to be infected by it pretty much, it seems. So we just have to find this real spaciousness, which isn't a fight against something. It's more a capacity to handle. And that's what I think we're dealing with it for.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
It sounds perfect and wonderful. And
so the invitation would be, how can I be deepening my spiritual practice right now? And in particular, how can I be, really being emotionally honest so as to invite spiritual clarity?
Yeah. I love that. Allowing ourselves to be fully human.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the meditation here, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the only way to deepen our spirituality. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Robert. All right, so point 5, the basic fear is to be useless, incompetent, incapable, and the basic desire is to be capable and competent. And I think at point 5, for all of us right now, we are being challenged because we don't know what's going on. We don't have the full picture. We don't know how to find out what's going on, and there's no way we can really understand everything at this point. And so I think we're being challenged also to trust the wisdom that arises when we let go of understanding. And I think it's also a time where we are invited to let go of lazy opinions and to keep curious and open, and to keep asking questions, and to, like a good investigator, a good therapist or journalist. And it's sometimes what goes wrong, right? We don't ask enough questions. We don't keep humble enough in our journey towards getting a clear picture of something. And because we're not patient enough, or our ego wants to be smart. And so sometimes we'll shorten that journey and make opinions about things, or analysis, or things like that. And I think this time we're really being called to keep the humble curiosity, and to accept not knowing, and to receive the gift of the wisdom that arises within when we accept not knowing. In the beginning of the year, I think I've shared this with you, I looked at my calendar and I had this inner no to starting new groups this spring and to doing my annual Bali retreat. And I didn't understand the no exactly. It was just very clear. And now I'm so grateful that I'm not starting a lot of new groups this spring, which I would usually have done. So I think that was an example for me, at least, of knowing something without understanding it. I think A Course in Miracles sometimes gives you this experience. I know this to be true, but I don't understand it really, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, that makes great sense. Yeah, I love what you say. I think it's it's a time, I think, to really consider what are our trusted sources of information.
Yes.
I think that's important as well right now.
And what information are we sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes lots of sense. And I'm being open and receptive for those flashes of insight so that we can somehow learn from this experience, you know, and see it for what it maybe is, you know. I think that's true. And I think also really making sure that our response to Corona isn't worse than Corona.
Exactly.
Yeah, making sure it's a truly like a really considered and enlightened response.
Yeah.
And you know that may include running mathematical models on how this is all going to play out, but also let's make sure that what's going into those mathematical models isn't just data.
Yeah.
You know, let's make sure that there's, you know, there's some love involved in all of this and our humanity again, you know, and we're including all of that in this as well. That feels important.
Yeah, it does. And our trust in life. Yeah, I have this invitation for type 4.5. It sounds like this. God, love, help me see that wisdom is always here, and that I have all the wisdom I need to trust and be in this world. We need that one right now.
Yeah, feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. So, point 6, the lawyer, or type 6, the loyalist, and basic fear really here often is all to do with safety. Is it safe to be here? And the basic desire, of course, is to feel secure and safe and held in this world. So I think a great invitation here is to be thinking a little bit like it too. How can we be increasing our life support? I think that's really, really important right now. And that would include, by the way, the exercise of like the 5 people who are good for me, who are supporting me, who are helping me, making sure that, you know, that I'm being looked after here as well. I think maybe also at 6, we could perhaps talk about coronavirus anxiety, coronavirus panic. The World Health Organization has in recent days issued a report which shows that, or acknowledges really, that our short-term solution of social isolating is not good for our mental health. And so at this time, we need to, I think, really focus on our mental wellness. And mental wellness for me is about cultivating a relationship with our mind so that we can essentially, we can see that we are the thinker of our thoughts. These thoughts don't just happen to us, you know, we think them too, and that we can choose a good thought for the day.
Yeah.
For me, there's nobody better at this than Louise Hay.
No.
So, and Louise Hay's was 0.6 on the Enneagram. And I often go to Louise's affirmations for guidance and support. It's huge. I find it hugely helpful. I'm actually doing something on her page every Tuesday right now, and will do for the duration of this, you know, a whole time that we're in. And I was just sharing some of her like most powerful affirmations, the affirmations that have really that are my go-to affirmations with her. And, you know, she's just, yeah, I mean, she's just been such a huge inspiration to me. But it's, I read her book, Trust Life, every single day. You know, it's sort of good to remember that Louise's work actually came to the fore during the time of a pandemic, which was the AIDS and HIV crisis. So actually, a lot of Louise's work is super relevant. And whenever I'm reading anything by Louise right now, it feels like she wrote it last night for me, you know, and it's really, really helpful. But I think, you know, right now, what's really good is to be thinking about what can really be supporting my mental health. And of course, that includes a great spiritual practice. It includes, I think, working with the Enneagram, like we're suggesting right now. I think it includes visiting your yoga mat, doing something physical for sure. Yeah. You know, it's moving your body. Absolutely. It's, you know, my wife Holly hosts dance church on Zoom every day, and it's so good. You know, it's just dancing, getting yourself out of your head for a while and just getting yourself sort of centered in your body is such a good thing. Yeah. I used to have a clinic here in the UK, which I ran through the National Health Service. It was called Stress Busters. And so my work began in mental health, and Stress Busters was something I ran for about 3 years. And, you know, I'd give some sort of serious lecture about something most weeks. But we also had the ENJ disco. And the ENJ disco stood for the entirely non-judgmental disco, where you could just dance without any way you wanted to dance. And I got to tell you, it was far better than any lecture I ever gave. Everybody loved it. You know, we had a great time. It was a terrific reset. Yeah. And, you know, and I think right now, you know, one of the most important things we can be doing, and this is definitely for 6, is just making sure I'm looking after my mental wellness. And honestly, I would say one great way we can do this is make sure, first and foremost, that you do not switch on the media in the morning until after breakfast, until after you've done your meditation. And also at night, make sure that you switch the media off a good hour before you go to sleep. And in between that time of looking at the media and going to sleep, make sure you say some affirmation, some prayer, do some meditation that's going to allow your mind to take you into a deeper sleep than you would otherwise have had. Yeah. Yeah. So my feeling is tune into the mind of God before you tune into the media of the world. Yeah. I love that. Anything else you'd want to add there? No, just that I think it goes for all of us right now that most Enneagram types are experiencing a little bit of type 6 within them. So for the types who might have thought that type 6 was just a little over anxious, we're just getting a little taste of that, all of us at the moment. And the sort of the energy is anxious. Yeah, I mean, it's such a phenomenon at 6. You know, I mean, I got a handful of friends who are saying to me, honestly, I'm pretty relaxed right now because finally the rest of the world has caught on how scary it is to be here. Yes, so you got it, finally. Yeah, like, what a wake-up call, everybody. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, life's scary, and you guys were all in denial. I was the only honest one in the room. Yeah. But now we're all scared, so it's like a level playing field. Yeah. And also, I think the misunderstanding that if I am scared and apprehensive and alert, I will somehow be able to control something. Yeah. You know, this is, I think, maybe a great lesson for all of us right now. At least all of the types that have just a little tendency of control issues. Yeah. But no, it's not going to work. On the contrary. Well said. All right. Thanks, Robert. All right. So type 7, the adventurer or enthusiast.
What would you say about type 7?
Yeah, those are good descriptions. We're always up for the adventure, for sure.
Yes. And so the basic fears being deprived or stuck in painful emotions, and the basic desires to be satisfied, content, fulfilled, happy. And well, I think it's very obvious the 9118 from type 7 to all of us right now, because we are actually being deprived and not free, and the fun has gone, and the socializing, and I see some really great type 7s on Facebook trying to create parties and get-togethers on Facebook. I love that. So, but also I think type 7 or 0.7 is inviting us into knowing that when I let go of anticipation and distraction, and when I stop distracting myself, when I let go of anticipation and land in the now, the beauty and the simplicity of the now gets a fair chance to unfold. And I think a lot of us are experiencing that right now, that all of the distractions that we usually have in our lives, and our looking outside of ourselves to find sources of joy and satisfaction, as those sources are taken away more than they used to be, we are being directed inwards. The search is being directed, I think, inwards I actually think it gives us a chance to really land in the beauty and the fullness of the now. Although I do have a strong 7 wing, so I also do feel that being deprived of all my travels and yeah.
That's really good. It just feels such a good summary of where we're at. Again, it's the ups and downs, the highs, the lows. We and again, and not just being positive about it, but being honest about it. Like, we are feeling deprived. We absolutely are, and we're very frustrated with it all, and we all wish it wasn't happening, for sure. That's absolutely true. And yet maybe there is some big plan here.
Yeah.
And each and every one of us is trying to find a way to, read some of the news from this big plan. But I love what you say. I think, one of the things I've been really struck by is how many people are turning to gratitude at this time, for what they have already.
It's touching.
It is. And our friend and Enneagram mentor Russ Hudson, together with Don Riso, would often talk about the healthy 7s being the ecstatic appreciators.
Yeah.
And an appreciation for what's already here. Yeah. And it's such an irony, isn't it? We think that if we have more, we'll be more grateful. But actually, often we become more grateful when we have less.
Yeah, that's right.
So strange. It just doesn't add up. Our logic says no.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like it's like the more books we have on the shelf, the less we'll probably read them.
Yeah.
But if we had 5 on there, we'd read them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that, isn't it? That feeling of we can attend to what's here, and that feels really, really, that feels really good, for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we are being asked to stop.
Yeah.
Physically, socially, and there's a great opportunity in stopping, isn't there? When we're stopping our old routines, stopping our old habits, stopping all of that, just stopping. It certainly brings us into the present moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So there is an invitation here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to a greater joy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What invitation do you have for us here?
Well, first I want to share that in March, my husband, he's a type 7, and it was his 50th birthday. And so I had arranged we were going to Lisbon in Portugal with our kids, and he didn't know, and I had booked the best restaurant in the city and a great hotel with a view over the sea, and everything was going to be perfect. And so we couldn't go to Portugal, and then we rented this very beautiful hotel in Denmark, and then we couldn't travel in Denmark either. And then on the day on his birthday, they shut down the restaurants. We got a table at a very, very good restaurant, of course, and so we couldn't do that either, and we just stayed at home. And
wow,
yeah, and you know, he was just, with every setback, he was just, that's fine too. That's no problem. And eventually he said he had the best birthday ever. He couldn't have hoped or wished for anything more amazing than what he got.
Wow.
And, you know, I really love that about, well, a healthy type 7. It's amazing. He was just so grateful for everything.
Yeah, I love that. Wow. Yeah, this is a sobering time.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? And it's making us all more sober and bringing us into our sobriety at this time, and saying, look, we've all of us in the first world got a whole bunch of excesses and accessories that we've been playing around with. But actually, you know, the truth is we don't need them.
No.
They're fun, but we don't need them.
Exactly.
And there's a great freedom in knowing that, for sure.
Yeah, there is. I'm thinking also of the 2 sentences from A Course in Miracles. There's nothing in this world that I really want, and I do not know what's in my own best interest. I think, you know, 7 or 8, those are very good at that point, because it's so true, right?
It's so true.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Although the first time I read it, I was a little offended, but but it is true.
I know. So was I.
Yeah, of course. What? So the invitation at point 7, I sent this to my good friend Nana, who you also know, and when she read it, she responded, "Yeah, I can do that. That's great." And then she said, "Wait a minute, let me meditate on it." And then after she told me that when she had meditated on it, she had gotten really scared that the disappointment of life, and so this is the invitation. Show me how to let the now unfold and connect me with my innate joy. So the first response was, that sounds fun. But then when she meditated on it, show me how to let the now unfold and connect me with my innate joy. She had gotten this feeling that, what if the now is all there is, and what if I'm disappointed in the now? All the dragons had sort of come up. But yeah.
But it's a brilliantly worded invitation. Oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so good.
We can all relate to that, right?
It's so good because, you know, apart from anything, it's about giving now a chance.
Exactly.
We don't give it a chance.
No.
So, you know, and so in this invitation, we're just giving now a bit more of a chance. And that is super cool. I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice one. All right. Over to point 8. This is your meditation seat.
Yeah.
So type 8, challenger, and the fear is, really of the world doing something to me that I don't want to have happen. You know, I don't want the world to dominate me. If anything, I'd quite like to have a go.
The other way around would work.
A little bit of, you know, a nice cup of tea and some world power wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah.
You know, trust me to be benevolent. I'll look after everybody. So I think the meditation here is to identify your own personal Corona challenge. What is your Corona challenge? what is it that Corona is challenging you to be, to do, to change, in your life right now? I was speaking with a client recently who said, look, this is either going to make me or break me. And I said, it's going to do both. You are going to be broken by this, and it will hopefully make you. And that's true for all of us. It's going to break me and it's going to make me. I think we have to accept that. It's going to break down some old structures. It's going to, it's going to break some dreams, break some plans, and at the same time, this can be the making of us, but we've almost got to allow it to do both. So we've got to let ourselves be broken by it, and then have it make something great out of it as well. We know from history that wherever there is great disruption, it's painful, it's frightening, it's often full of grief, but disruption is always the prelude to a new type of creativity. We in the Hindu tradition, we recognize Kali, coming through with those flailing arms, disrupting the old, but it has to be disrupted because we're attached to it. Actually, when we're not so attached to it, it doesn't feel quite so much like a disruption. The disruption is in many ways equivalent to how much we're holding to the old way. But nonetheless, globally, socially, personally, there will be disruption right now. And we have to see if we can surrender to the disruption, and then by surrendering to it, allow for this new creative expression to unfold. It's not a creativity that we force, it's a creativity that's going to come through us. Because this is all happening in creation right now. This isn't happening to me, this is happening. And it's, if you like, almost going to happen through me as such, in a sense. So I think it's a good time to be humble, and to accept that we will be broken by this. I think actually we're probably going to have to change our ideas about what it means to be strong at this time. So allowing ourselves to be broken, allowing ourselves to, be able to open up a bit and share vulnerably how we are with this whole thing is probably a good thing right now. It might not come naturally to us, but maybe our greater wisdom can see that there is actually something strong in this, about allowing it something to break. If I think about some of the type 8 people that I've known along the way, particularly in leadership positions, they're always disrupting the old. They're always doing that and causing havoc for everybody else, whilst they create something new. Well, it's happening to all of us now, and so therefore let's surrender to the disruption, and let us keep an eye out for this new creative expression. Let's welcome it, let's be part of it, and let's say yes to the Corona challenge. But the invitation would be to say, let me get a feeling for what is the challenge that Corona is inviting me to accept at this time.
Yeah, I love that.
How does that sound?
And I love a challenge. So, yeah.
Does that feel? But does that? And ever as the pragmatist, do you feel that's something that, all of our 8 friends and you too, that's something we could work with?
Yeah.
Cool.
I really like it. It's beautiful.
All right.
Thank you, Robert. Point 9. Basic fear is loss and separation, and the basic desire is inner and outer balance and peace of mind, really, which is not really possible for most of us at the moment. And I think type 9 and the wisdom in type 9 is inviting all of us to to allow ourselves to be disturbed right now. And it's the only way we can transform and utilize the gifts that are inherent in this crisis, is to be willing to be disturbed, like really disturbed. And also I think type 9 can teach us about the sense of connection. And I think what happens to most of us when we are disrupted or challenged is that we will sort of leave a little bit ourselves and get less present with ourselves. And that will make it difficult to feel the connection with the world around us. And so I think these times we are being asked to remember the connection with our bodies, our connection with Earth, our willingness to be here, to really be here in the middle of all of this mess, of all of this disruption and chaos. And to, well, maybe just once in a while, maybe it's just like a drop in the ocean, but just once in a while sink into or sense into the sense of balance underneath that's always there. It's always available to us. But only really if we are willing to be disturbed. When we're willing to be disturbed, a little bit like point 4, we will naturally access the balance underneath the chaos.
It's absolutely so helpful. Yeah, thank you, because I think it's brilliant. You know, I think we should be disturbed by this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everybody who's feeling calm and positive about this, you know, it's like I'm not buying that. I think, come on, you know, we should be disturbed by this. Absolutely. There's a huge amount of suffering on the planet right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so let's be disturbed. I think it's a great point. I mean, personally, I certainly recognize the desire to sleep through this one.
Yeah.
Know, feeling of in the morning when I wake up, I mean, it still hits me in the tummy quite hard that this is even happening. And I just want to pull the duvet over my head for sure. And actually, you know, all I know to do actually is, as soon as I can, do a bit of physical exercise, because I'm really not engaged until that happens. And then after that, do my practice. I can't even do my practice now without doing my physical exercise, not properly.
No.
I've reversed it in recent times. I can't just go to that nice meditation place. I'm too sluggish. I don't want to be here. I don't want this to happen. Yeah. You know, I just want to be woken up when this is all over, for sure. You know, that's all I want. And so to that point, I think it's also fair to say that this is our wake-up call. Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I mean, it's I think we have to take care of business for ourselves and make that our inner work. What is my wake-up call? And okay, there's probably a wake-up call for everybody else too, and the planet as well, but I almost want to say, never mind about that. You know, just take responsibility for what is your wake-up call. Exactly. And know that is a fabulous part you're playing in the scheme of things. If you know, if after all of this, you're more present, you're more in the world, you're here in a way for all of us, a bit more than you ever were before, well, that's to be a good thing. Exactly. Yeah. So we are all, no matter what Enneagram type right now, I think we're being called into, this waking up. Yeah. And the invitation, did you have one from a friend? I do. The invitation is, and actually I sent this to 2 9s I know who also know the Enneagram, and they were the only ones who said, that's right on.
They didn't have anything that perfect. All the others had little adjustments. So they felt completely right. The nice, which was fine. So the invitation is, love, show me how I can be fully present in life so that I may feel my connection with myself and the world.
Love it.
Mm.
It's so good that I think whenever there is a great challenge in our life, whenever there's pain, whenever there's conflict, I think for most of us, we want to withdraw, and often we do initially, and it's not such a bad thing because we just gather some of those psychic forces, but we withdraw so we can come back out again and be present and do that. And we know in relationships and in everything really that things don't get better with us not being there. Things get better because we show up more.
Exactly.
But that's a great inquiry. Love it.
Yeah, it could actually also be, how can I show up even more in my life and make a difference right now? I think we all really need to take a stand for love and show up and be courageous and
Absolutely. Yeah. This was fun. This was really, really good. I mean, the thing I love about the Enneagram is, because of the way it's structured, there's enough there in the last 50 minutes for us to play with for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
I mean, it's so clever. It's so profound, isn't it?
It is.
How it works. It's completely brilliant. So I guess the thing to do is, I would say, is it doesn't matter what your type is. If you've heard something that we've been saying today that you like just pick one of these invitations, one of these practices, and just start with it.
Yeah.
And
journal on it every day, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's certainly going to be great help for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking to you, Robert.
Thank you, Kissa. Likewise, this was felt really good to join together on this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And we actually made it just 1 hour.
Nice. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Robert. Or is there anything you want to say to finish off?
No, I think honestly that was just great. I just feel so good that we've done it. It just feels really, really good. So send me a link when you've done what you need to do to it, and we'll send it out. Yeah. When you're ready. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Yeah, and just love to everyone, and well, let's stay in touch. Yeah, let's do that. Take care and give my love to Holly and the kids. I will. Yeah, lots of love. Lots of love. Bye. Thanks so much, Kissa. Thank you so much, Robert. Bye.